Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got some great news about Season of Discovery today, but also some things that really scare me about the future. Believe me, you're going to want to stick around because this one really took me by surprise. My name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down. We got a lot to discuss. Don't forget, if you're looking for an easy way to find your runes or level up quickly in all versions of World of Warcraft, click that link in the description below to get the Rested XP guide. It's literally the best guide out there for World of Warcraft. I promise you won't be disappointed. Click the link, support the channel, gain rewards. Okay, now before we dive into the disturbing segment of news that scares me about Season of Discovery's future, we just wanted to break down some more positive news first. Recently, it was discovered that bind on account runes have been data mined on these Phase 4 public test realms. Now, of course, as we all know, the ring runes will either give you some sort of hit with melee weapon hit on it, or spell hit on it, depending on the type of rune that you select. The most interesting thing about these runes, however, is that they all appear to be bind on account, meaning that once you unlock these on a single character, it will be usable on all your other characters, which is really great news if you enjoy having alts in Season of Discovery. I do think this is a really great step in the right direction for making things a little bit easier for you on your alternative characters, because I really would like to see them push the envelope a little bit further and offer a vendor that maybe you can go spend a certain currency to go buy unlockable runes for your other characters, so you don't have to go running around the world wasting a bunch of time doing quests you've already done before. Either way, very big win. Hats off to developers on this one. Additionally, after doing some further digging around into the files of what was added in the latest patch of the PTR, we came across a couple interesting things that we wanted to break down for you all. The first one was a spell effect that was called Arena Victory. Now, I'm not going to lie, I quite literally jumped in excitement when I first saw this, and my first thoughts were probably the same as you. Are they actually going to be adding arenas to Season of Discovery? Is this feature that a lot of people have been asking for finally going to make it to the game? Well, I'm not too sure, because after looking around, we saw another spell that was labeled Spawn Challenge, as you can see on screen here, which leads me to believe that there might be some sort of new PVE feature that allows you to spawn enemies to either practice your combat skills against, maybe have a gauntlet sort of thing where you have to continuously fight and then they get harder and harder, or it could just be something as simple as a quest line that just got added to the game. Either way, all we know is that at this point in Season of Discovery, after seeing the comment section and the forums and everything, the only way players are going to want to come back and dive into the game is if they try something fresh and exciting and a little bit risky, man. I think when you're at the point when you don't really have much to lose and your back is against the wall, I feel like you should be giving it everything you got to start firing ideas out there, because the truth of the matter is, playing it safe at this point in Season of Discovery is only going to leave this game dead in the water in about a month and a half from now. So I don't know about you all, but I would love to see arenas added in Season of Discovery, whether it be 1v1, 2v2s, 3v3s, whatever. Let me know what you all think about it in the comment section below, because I'm dying to hear your opinions on it. Something else that might be related to this arena subject or something different is this brand new buff that looks to be coming to Phase 4 that is called the Astral Victory buff. As you can see on screen, it states that you have 0 duels without defeat against Konzu and will give you a 2-hour-long buff. This buff really reminds me of the old Phase 1 buff we used to have during the Battle for Ashenvale event. When you would defeat one of the bosses and turn in the quest, you would get that drum buff. So could this actually be a brand new open world event that gives you a buff for 2 hours, like another world buff? Or could it just be a player versus NPC kind of gauntlet once again, like we've been talking about? Could it be a brand new battleground? We're not entirely sure yet, but we do know that this is for something important, and we will keep you updated on it very soon. Something else that's kind of split the community in two recently is the fact that world bosses were now confirmed to be instanced in Season of Discovery Phase 4. Now, we did go over this the other day briefly in our patch notes breakdown, but it seems that a lot of people have different opinions on it, and we just kind of wanted to break it down and explain the thought behind it. Now, I'm going to be honest and upfront about this whole thing. I think this is actually a really good change. Sadly, the truth of the matter is, when it comes to World of Warcraft, world bosses as they existed in vanilla, you kind of just had to be there to experience, as crazy as that. In the modern gaming era, with mega servers that have layers upon layers of people with thousands of players on one single realm, on top of that, how sweaty and really degenerate a lot of these WoW players are, world bosses just don't work anymore in the classic era. I always wondered what the hell the developers are going to be doing to fix this sort of problem, and I guess they couldn't find a solution either, just as I have. So don't get me wrong, it's sad, but you got to know that 99.9% of players are never going to kill a world boss, let alone even see one. You have to understand that there are guilds out there that have players logged in camping these world bosses on separate accounts, and then the second they spawn, they're informing everyone in their guild and they're already getting summons out. So I tried doing this back in 2019 Classic to kill multiple world bosses, and that included me trying my best to do what these other guilds were doing, which was literally camp the spawn for days and days at a time. And then, you know, we finally got lucky enough at like 3 in the morning, and then we got everyone there 15 minutes later and we're ready to go fight it. And little did we know, the competing guild on the Alliance side had separate accounts ready to go on their Horde characters to grief us the second we pulled, and then they would kill us and they would steal the tag, leading to them taking the boss. Listen, I promise you, I love the idea of open world events too, but something like this, it's too far up our alley. We're out-leagued here, we're outmatched for the casual player, and it's something you would never even see. You wouldn't even visually see one. So in my opinion, I think it's a big win to avoid all these problems, and it's going to leave us separate instanced boss raids that are going to be really easy to jump into, get some loot, experience something you've never done before in a classic WoW environment. So not only do we have Molten Core plus potential new events and new raids and stuff, we have these 3 different single boss raids, which I think is going to be really, really cool. So let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section below. If you disagree with it or do you agree with me, give me your opinion on it after you just heard my counter argument, because I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about it. And finally, before we head into the main headline of today, we have some quick confirmations from Agrind over on Twitter. Starting off first from my buddy Hello J Tello, he tweeted about the Sulfuras Hand of Ragnaros mace, on how it's getting redesigned and how druids will now have access to this very unique legendary weapon, stating that I truly believe this mace is meant for shamans and paladins more than anything, which I do agree on, by the way. Agrind actually responded to this, and to pretty much break it down very quickly, he just stated that one of the things that makes legendary weapons memorable is because so many people want them, but not everybody can have them. Making them for a specific class limits that specialness, especially since raid sizes will now be much smaller. And something incredibly interesting that was stated early on in the tweet was that he said, and I quote, "It's pretty safe to say if we glow up or add new legendary weapons, we'd likely make them things that have value for more than one class," which is a very, very important bit of information to talk about. So not only did he pretty much confirm that they are in discussion about adding brand new legendaries, especially since we just saw Broxigar's axe get data mined in the files, which would be awesome for warriors, but this Sulfuras rework isn't going to be the only legendary thing changing in the future. I mean, what about Thunder Fury? Does that mean maybe there's a chance for Warlock tanks? They could use it. What about Karazhan Crypts? Could they be adding some new legendaries in there? All in all, though, it's just a very exciting discussion because everybody wants to have a legendary weapon, you know? Everybody wants that. And this is the first sign in seeing that new legendaries could be coming, and more reworks for the future legendaries could be coming as well. Specifically for druids, though, we did find that there could be a brand new weapon, whether it be epic or legendary, coming that can give you a use for every spec at one time. Pretty much breaking this down, it would give you the option to alternate the weapon and its stats at any time you want, similar to how you have the Atiesh weapon from Molten Core, whether you can have it, you know, a healing weapon for a healer priest or a DPS for a shadow priest. So really, really cool stuff. Very interesting for druids in the future. And speaking of Molten Core, Agrind was once again asked whether the mobs in Molten Core will have fire immunity removed, similar to how bleed and poison immunity was removed in Nomergon during Phase 2. To give you a short and sweet breakdown to this question, Agrind stated that it sounded interesting for certain classes to have drawbacks or strengths in specific scenarios, and that they think in a future version of Classic with hashtag fewer changes, they will explore that design again, kind of how old school RPGs are, but they don't like that idea for Season of Discovery. They like the idea of any combination of tanks being able to complete any content out there with a smaller raid size. So pretty much, it was confirmed that it is going to be very similar to Nomergon, where you will just have slight damage decrease if you're pumping fire damage into a fire mob, and that every tank should be viable in the end game when it comes to Season of Discovery. So a lot of clarifications there. Okay, now moving on to the very big headline, and we're going to get up close and personal here. No animations, no effects. In all honesty here, ladies and gentlemen, this next announcement kind of scared me a little bit. The awesome creator Hammerdance, one of my buddies, asked Agrind over on Twitter whether we will be getting world buffs on the PTR to see how classes will be performing in a true raid environment. Agrind responded stating that it was deliberate for them to not include this for the first few weeks of PTR, and it will be coming some point in the future. It's true. You did hear that correctly. The first few weeks of PTR, and they will add it some point in the future. And I'm sure if you're paying attention, you have the same reaction that I'm having right now, because in all honesty, I was really hoping that this public test realm wasn't going to last, any longer than 2 to 3 weeks, and that Phase 4 would be launching at the end of the month. I was really hoping for that, but that kind of just got picked up and thrown out the window. The reason I'm saying this is because they like to have their big, phase releases on Thursdays, and the first Thursday of next month in July is July 4th, which, of course, we all know they're not going to release it on a holiday, which means at the very earliest, we're most likely going to be getting Phase 4 on July 11th. And yeah, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what to say, because unless the developers are really, really on the ball and active with changes on this PTR and giving a lot of feedback and making a lot of things happen and being very active with the community about, the betterment of the game, the community is quite literally going to explode. I mean, already in the comment section, they are freaking out right under this tweet because Phase 3 has already been out for almost 3 months. And not only that, it's the worst phase by far. So you mean to tell me that we could be getting Phase 4 in 3 to 4 weeks from now? To be honest, I don't really see this ending well if that is the case, considering World of Warcraft's, sweet love child, Retail WoW, is getting its brand new expansion in just over 2 months. And that's not even considering the pre-patch, which usually takes like 2 to 3 weeks time. So in my opinion, this is a very, very scary thing. And once again, unless they start making massive amounts of updates and feedback and helping the community and communicating about the changes that everybody wants, I don't think Season of Discovery is going to make it out alive, man. And this is the first time I've ever said this on this channel. I'm really worried about Season of Discovery if this is the case, man. So we will keep you all updated. Of course, it's my job to, and I love this game. I love doing it. I will keep you updated. Moving on now to the community section part of the video, starting with Patton stating that Karazhan Crypts will not come before we get Naxxramas due to the teleport on the staff. It's obviously post-Naxx content. And the more I think about it, the more I think you're honestly right. But the truth of the matter is, I think very few players are going to want to stick around, 4 or 5 months, maybe even 6 months longer to wait until Naxx comes out to get those shards, get that staff going, then to experience Karazhan Crypts. I just think we got another thing coming here, man, if we think that's the case. If that really is the case, I'm dying to see some new content, maybe like that Scarlet Monastery raid that we're teasing over at BlizzCon 6-7 months ago. So hopefully that would be the case, maybe inside of Eastern Plaguelands. We'll have to see. Next up, we have Saya stating that for the heroic rating, making it only cosmetic rewards is a big win. For example, mounts, tabards, recolored raid loot, or loot with more dramatic effects. And yeah, I think that would be pretty badass. That would be very, very good for, completing difficult content. You can get the brand new gear that looks awesome and go flex it, go show it off, show your accomplishments to your friends or people in capital cities, whatever. That is epic, that is new, that only you can accomplish. I think that's a very cool thing. It incentivizes and brings out competition in players to try to be better. So I think that's really, really cool if you're trying to compete and do those other heat levels to get cosmetics. And lastly, we have Johnny stating, oh my god, is there going to be a new legendary weapon, maybe a new axe? And yes, it was data mined in the files that the axe of Cenarius, which was once wielded by Broxigar, has been found as a weapon in the game. Now, we don't know if this is a weapon that we can equip and use. No one really knows if it's going to be actually in the game or not. No one knows if it's going to be a legendary, but the possibilities are definitely endless and open for discussion in Season of Discovery Phase 4. And I think there's a lot of things insinuating that this is going to be coming. So hopefully that is the case. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully we have some brand new updates with big, big changes coming soon from the developers on class changes, updates, overhauls, rune changes. We need a lot. I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of people in the community right now freaking out. To be honest, I'm kind of one of them. And I think if this phase PTR is going to get really delayed even longer, another 3 to 4 weeks, we are going to need something big to keep these players active. I'm really, really hoping that it isn't the case. Somehow, some way they pull it out of their ass and release this by the end of the month. I don't think it's going to happen anymore. But we're going to have to just wait and see, man. Hopefully they do it. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, man. Once again, it's always an absolute pleasure. We got more World of Warcraft content coming soon. My name's Sky for the Comeback Kids. See you all in the next one. Peace.